Get in, let me take you home. Single mom helps an old man walk in the rain. The next day, The rain came down like a curtain of silver, turning the streets into rivers and washing away the colors of the city. Most people hurried past with their heads down, desperate to escape the storm. No one noticed the old man struggling on the sidewalk. No one except one exhausted single mother who was already carrying the weight of the world on her shoulders. What happened after she stopped her car that evening would change her life forever. Before we begin, if you believe that kindness still matters in this world and that everyone deserves a second chance, please like this video, comment where you're watching from, share it with someone who needs a little hope today, and subscribe to the channel Kindness Matters. Your support helps us bring more inspiring stories to people around the world. The city of Maple Grove looked beautiful during sunny days, but on rainy evenings it felt cold and lonely. That night, dark clouds covered the sky long before sunset. Streets glistened under streetlights, and traffic crawled through the wet roads. 34-year-old Marissa Hale gripped the steering wheel of her aging sedan as she drove home after a long shift at a grocery store. Life had not been easy for her. 3 years earlier, her husband had passed away unexpectedly from a sudden illness, leaving her alone to raise her 8-year-old son, Noah. Since then, every day had become a battle. She worked 2 jobs whenever possible. She skipped meals so Noah could have enough. She postponed doctor appointments because she couldn't afford them. She ignored her own exhaustion because there was simply no time to rest. The bills kept coming. The rent kept rising. And despite all her efforts, she often felt as though she was running on a treadmill that never stopped. That evening, she was thinking about an overdue electricity payment when she noticed a figure ahead through the rain. An old man. He was walking slowly along the roadside, leaning heavily on a cane. His gray coat was soaked. Water dripped from the brim of his hat. Each step seemed painful. Cars passed him without slowing down. People hurried by without looking. Marissa drove past him at first. Then something tugged at her heart. Maybe it was the way he struggled against the wind. Maybe it was the memory of her own father, who had passed away years before. Or maybe it was simply kindness refusing to stay silent. She sighed, checked her mirror, and pulled over. Rain hammered against the roof as she rolled down her window. The old man looked surprised when she called out to him. His face carried deep wrinkles, and his eyes seemed tired yet gentle. Marissa told him to get in and let her take him home. For a moment he hesitated. Then he smiled. It was a small smile, but one filled with gratitude. The old man climbed into the passenger seat, carefully placing his cane beside him. The heater warmed the air between them. Marissa learned that his name was Walter Grayson. He lived several miles away on the edge of town. As they drove through the storm, she noticed how polite he was. He thanked her repeatedly and apologized for causing inconvenience. She assured him it was no trouble. Still, she couldn't help noticing something unusual. Despite his worn clothing, Walter carried himself with quiet dignity. His posture remained straight. His voice was calm and educated. There was something about him that suggested a story hidden beneath the surface. When they arrived at his destination, Marissa was surprised. The address led to a modest but beautiful old house surrounded by tall oak trees. Walter thanked her once more before stepping out. Just before closing the door, he looked at her with unusual sincerity. He told her that kindness was becoming rare and that she had no idea how much her help meant. Marissa smiled and wished him a good evening. Then she drove away, never expecting to see him again. The next morning began like every other. She woke before sunrise. Prepared Noah for school. Packed lunches. Checked her nearly empty bank account. And headed to work. By noon, a problem struck. Her manager called her into the office. The grocery store was cutting staff. Business had been slow. Several employees were being let go. Marissa was one of them. The news felt like a punch to the chest. She sat in her car afterward, staring through the windshield. Her hands trembled. Without this job, she didn't know how she would pay rent next month. She thought about Noah. She thought about the overdue bills waiting on her kitchen table. For the first time in years, she felt completely defeated. That afternoon she returned home early. Noah was still at school. The apartment felt unusually quiet. She sat at the kitchen table fighting back tears. Then came a knock at the door. She wasn't expecting anyone. Confused, she opened it. A man in an expensive suit stood outside. Behind him waited a black luxury car. Marissa immediately assumed there must be some mistake. The man politely asked if she was Marissa Hale. When she confirmed, he handed her a sealed envelope. Inside was an invitation. She was requested to attend a meeting at the Grayson Foundation headquarters the following morning. At the bottom was a signature. Walter Grayson. Her heart skipped a beat. Could it possibly be the same old man from the rain? The entire evening she couldn't stop thinking about it. The next morning she arrived at the address listed on the invitation. The building was enormous. Glass towers reflected sunlight across downtown Maple Grove. Employees moved through the lobby with purpose and confidence. Marissa felt completely out of place. A receptionist greeted her warmly and escorted her to the top floor. The elevator doors opened onto a luxurious office overlooking the city skyline. And there, standing beside a wall of windows, was Walter. But he looked very different. Gone were the soaked clothes and weathered coat. He wore an elegant suit. His silver hair was neatly styled. The tired old man from the rain had transformed into someone powerful. Someone important. Walter smiled as she entered. Then he revealed the truth. He was the founder of the Grayson Foundation, one of the largest charitable organizations in the state. Over decades, he had built successful businesses and devoted much of his fortune to helping others. The previous evening, he had chosen to walk alone after a charity event. His driver had been delayed. When the storm arrived, he found himself stranded. Hundreds of people passed him. Only one person stopped. Marissa. Walter explained that wealth had taught him many things, but one lesson mattered most. Character reveals itself when no one is watching. Marissa had helped a stranger despite having no reason to do so. She expected nothing in return. That kind of compassion was rare. Then Walter asked a surprising question. He wanted to know about her life. For nearly an hour she shared her story. The loss of her husband. The struggle of raising Noah alone. The constant financial pressure. The fear she felt after losing her job. Walter listened carefully. He didn't interrupt. He didn't pity her. He simply listened. When she finished, silence filled the room. Then Walter opened a folder on his desk. Inside was a job offer. A full-time position with the Grayson Foundation. The salary was more than she had ever earned. The benefits included healthcare and educational support for Noah. Marissa stared at the document in disbelief. Tears filled her eyes. She thought she was dreaming. Walter explained that the foundation needed someone to coordinate community outreach programs. After learning about her life and observing her kindness firsthand, he believed she would be perfect for the role. Marissa accepted immediately. For the first time in years, hope returned. The weeks that followed felt almost unreal. She began working with families facing hardships similar to her own. She organized food drives. She helped struggling parents find resources. She listened to people who felt forgotten. And because she had experienced hardship herself, she connected with them in a way few others could. Meanwhile, Noah flourished. He no longer worried about seeing his mother stressed every evening. Their apartment felt warmer. Their future looked brighter. But the greatest change wasn't financial. It was emotional. Marissa had spent years believing she was alone. Now she realized that one act of kindness had connected her to something bigger than herself. Months later, Walter's health began to decline. Age was finally catching up with him. He spent less time at the foundation and more time resting at home. Yet he continued meeting with Marissa whenever possible. Over time, they developed a bond resembling family. Walter became a grandfather figure to Noah. And Marissa became one of the people he trusted most. One autumn afternoon, Walter shared something he had never told her before. Years earlier, after losing his wife, he had fallen into deep loneliness. Success and money couldn't fill the emptiness. He often questioned whether people cared about him or simply cared about his wealth. The night Marissa stopped in the rain reminded him that genuine kindness still existed. She restored a piece of faith he thought he had lost forever. The words stayed with her. Because she realized something important. She had always believed Walter saved her. But in reality, they had saved each other. Years passed. The foundation expanded. Marissa rose into leadership. Thousands of families benefited from programs she helped create. And every major project carried one simple message. Kindness changes lives. Not because it guarantees rewards. Not because it always leads to miracles. But because it reminds people that they matter. Eventually, Walter passed away peacefully at the age of 87. The entire city mourned. Hundreds attended his memorial service. Community leaders spoke about his generosity. Business executives praised his achievements. Families thanked him for changing their lives. Yet the most emotional moment came when Marissa stood before the crowd. She shared the story of a rainy evening. A lonely old man walking through a storm. A tired single mother driving home after work. And one simple decision to stop. Many people cried. Because everyone understood the lesson. Great moments don't always begin with grand gestures. Sometimes they begin with opening a car door. Sometimes they begin with noticing someone others ignore. Sometimes they begin with choosing kindness when it would be easier not to. If this story has touched your heart so far, please take a moment to like this video, share it with friends and family, leave a comment below, and subscribe to Kindness Matters. Your engagement helps spread these powerful reminders that kindness can truly transform lives. Special request: comment the word kindness below if you believe even the smallest act of compassion can change someone's future. Years later, Marissa often found herself driving through rainy evenings. Whenever she saw someone struggling, she remembered that unforgettable night. And every time she did, she smiled. Because she knew something most people never learn. You may never know how important a single act of kindness will become. You may never see the ripple effect it creates. But somewhere, someone's life could change forever because you chose to care. And sometimes, the person you save ends up saving you too. That is the extraordinary power of kindness.